Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Slang Hope, and I got another video for y'all. This is another book review, right? And the name of this book is The Man, the Moment, Demands. Before I even get into the book, right, if you click the link in the description below, it's gonna have the book, and it's also a link to my book called Who Profits When Black Men Gangbang. There's also a link to a documentary that I am in, which is called We Came to Heal. I should check that out. So yeah, let's get back into this book right here, because this is a great book. Now this book is by Jason Wilson, right? Some of y'all might know who he is already. He has another book called Battle Cry. He also is seen that he was in the Breakfast Club, right? He had an interview in the Breakfast Club. He makes other videos, like motivational videos or just giving advice. So look into him. He has a lot of good content. This book is about 220 pages, right? It has a few chapters. Forget how many chapters it has. Yeah, so it has about like 13 chapters. And the reason I read the book, nobody like recommended it to me. Like I said, I didn't even know Jason Wilson was the guy. Like I be seeing him around on videos, but I never knew like he was author. I just happened to be on Amazon scrolling one day, and I seen the title of the book, The Man, the Moment, Demands. And I was just like, it just sounded interesting, right? And it's basically about how to master the 10 characteristics of the comprehensive man. So that's how I came to know of the book. I was just on Amazon and I seen it. The title captivated me. It also was on sale on Amazon, so I was like, I can't go wrong. You know, I read the back and what it was saying. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna give that book a shot. And the moment I opened it, it was great from the beginning. I want to read you something about the book, right? And this is from the beginning that I started reading it, right? It says, as we grow, oftentimes our ventings are dismissed as complaints, expressions of pain are labeled as weakness, fatigue is mislabeled as laziness, resistance is denounced as rebellion, and hesitation is branded as double-minded. When tears flow, we're called soft, teaching us from an early age to bottle our anguish and show either indifference or strength towards whatever stresses or depresses us. As the pressure causes us to suffer in silence, we stop seeking our purpose in life and start pursuing unhealthy and dangerous outlets of release instead, or we simply give up. Now, this deeply resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of brothers out there who have been made to feel this way by usually our counterparts or maybe other men like us, right? So there's a lot of us that are going through this suppressing. We are not able to kind of like show different ranges of emotion, right? So I told you why I read, how I came across the book. This is what the book is about, right? It's about 10 characteristics that, you know, will make a comprehensive man, right? So the characteristics are, I'm not even gonna tell you. You go get the book, right? So that's what the book is about. It's just teaching us how to navigate different characteristics in our life that will make us more of a whole human being, right? More of a whole person, a whole man, right? Oftentimes we grow up without being able to show certain sides of us. So great book. That's what it's about. What I got from the book, it just gave me a lot of like different characteristics and different examples of like how we can show emotion, right? How like it doesn't make us weak, like to take care of ourselves, you know. Also it talks about like provision, right? Like the provider, which is one of the characteristics that we so much love to embody, right? And we feel bad at times, right? When our money not right, our mind don't be right, and you know it shows in our behavior and our frustrations and our actions, right, towards our loved ones. Sometimes the frustration be misplaced. It's not our loved ones that we want to behave like that towards. It's just we're frustrated because things are not going right, especially when we can't really provide for ourselves or our families, right? Um, but anyway, yeah, it talks about like, but also in providing, he mentioned like not to the extent that you deplete yourself, your vessel, right? Take care of yourself. There's been a lot of brothers in the past who took the word and the embodiment of being a provider to the extent that they deteriorated their health, right? Um, Whether they worked in toxic places where they didn't really take care of themselves or going to get checkups, um, etc., right? So that's very important. That's something that he really alluded to, right? Like, yes, you should be a provider, right? You should want to do that for your family. And at the same time, he said, don't do it to the extent that you kill yourself and then you can no longer be there for your family or your vessel is not taken care of, right? He also spoke about like just because you're the provider doesn't mean that like you don't have a good supporting mate, right? Oftentimes, it's hard for us to communicate that we want support from our counterpart, right? Because we feel like being the provider means like not getting help or assistance. Um, and assistance could be in different ways, right? And sometimes it could also be financial, right? So anyway, that's something that I got from the book, right? Of course, it talks about other things, but I like that component. He also talked about the component of allowing your boys, your young sons, to show emotions, right? To cry, and have other ranges, right? Like not raise children, like boys especially, boxed. He also talked about like being too stern as a parent, and how sometimes you kind of like raise your children to not want to confide in you or hide things from you. Um, just the importance of like different lessons and different characters. It spoke about the nurturer. She spoke about the leader. He talked about the gentleman, the friend. So it's different aspects that he spoke about like as components to being a man. How I plan on implementing this, I highlight a lot of stuff every time I read books. Like whoever knows me, like you will see that I oftentimes highlight things in my books, um, things that like I will remember. So I'll always go back to it and like reread, um, certain things. So is another thing he mentioned was oftentimes, when a man said he's tired, um, he said that it's not necessarily that we want rest, like sleep. Right here, there's a quote. He said, when men say we're tired, it typically doesn't mean we need sleep. It means we want rest. There's a major difference between the two. Sleep is an unconscious state that provides physical and mental relaxation. Rest is a conscious state of freedom from anything that wearies the soul. And that was deep, because sometimes I done felt like I slept enough amount of time, right? But I still felt tired. Um, and for some time I was kind of like wondering, like, why do I feel tired, right? And then there was another quote I had seen some time ago that sometimes it's not your body that's tired, right? Sometimes it's your soul that's tired. So when I read this, it just reminded me how if you are not taking care of your soul and like the other components of your body, that then you're gonna feel tired, right? If you feel weariness, like if your conditions don't really change, yeah, you can get all the sleep you want, but if you don't feel good about like your conditions and your spirituality and other areas of your life, then you could still be tired, right? You could still be tired and weary about whatever's happening until you grab that wheel, right? And take agency, and find solutions to some of the things that are happening. And And the last thing I would say, he used this term emotional incarceration when that's kind of like how boys are raised, right? We are raised to not be able to have an outlet to kind of like carry out or demonstrate our emotions. Oftentimes, like, and you'll see this with people when you ask them how they feeling or how they oftentimes just give you like good, right? Most of the time, or bad, sad, or whatever. Like, but it's never like we don't even have the range for the language on how do we really feel to really express ourselves as people in general. So imagine men, right? A lot of times men, they're every time whatever they're feeling, they just find a way to channel it through anger and show anger, right? Because it's almost like that's the only emotion that we're allowed to feel. We're very limited. And he uses this term, emotional incarceration. So let me know what y'all thoughts are. Y'all should definitely go get the book, The Man, the Moment Demands. So let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comment section, and I'll post the link. Have a good one. Peace.